A few years ago, I was in conversations with a startup about becoming a core member, a shareholder. I was going to help it grow. Real commitment, real involvement, real excitement about what they were building. But I was also pregnant. And once they found out, it didn't just change the conversation, it ended it. Another shareholder made the call for the whole team. Agnese is pregnant, she cannot be a shareholder. I wasn't asked how my leave would look like or how involved I would be during it. I received no questions. Just a very quick assessment. Agnese is pregnant, she can't be a shareholder. So that was annoying, and I would have let this go. But then I started to talk to founders, to fund partners, to senior members of the startup ecosystem. And I came to realize how messy, how awkward, how big of a taboo parental leave among them actually is. It's a real elephant in the room. And the thing is, when you build a startup and you build a fund, it's like entering a marriage. It's long-term. And well, people sometimes tend to have babies in marriages. The fact that you don't talk about them, it doesn't mean that they don't get born. It just means that you don't know what to do with them once they arrive. So at the Startup Association, me and Madara teamed up with the legal office Sorainen, and we decided to explore how actually big of an issue this is and what can we do about this. And what we found only confirmed the fact that this indeed is a big elephant in the room. In one survey, 66 VC funds across 10 countries were surveyed, and only 50% of them covered parental leave. And the authors of the survey emphasized that the respondents were already prone to having those parental leave policies, which probably means that there are more than 50% of funds out there that do not have anything on parental leave. Another study was done on maternity leave, and they found that 84% of women are worried about the amount of time they will be able to take off, and 71% of them are afraid how their position will have changed once they return. We actually ran our own research as well, and what we found, we researched and spoke to founders, VC fund partners, and senior members of the ecosystem. And what we found was that 0 founders had parental leave addressed in any formal agreement. We actually had a founder share her story where she, upon launching a startup, was very upfront with her investors that at some point she will want to have children. And the investors said that that's absolutely fine with them, but then she became pregnant. And the investors used clauses in their shareholder agreement to push her out of the company at 6 months pregnant. Another finding that we had was that the majority actually do want to have guidelines on how that parental leave might look like. One of the venture fund partners that we spoke to shared an example of their portfolio startup where one of the co-founders took a 1-year maternity leave, and the startup that she returned to had already pivoted. The vision of the company had changed, and it was no longer aligned with her vision. And so a lot of questions and issues were around her role and how to proceed forward. And the third thing that I think was quite alarming was that most worry that taking parental leave would actually impact how core they are perceived to be in the company. And that really raises a concern, because the thing is that people do combine raising families with building businesses. Building startups is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Is it really that wild to assume that somewhere along the way someone might have a child? I want to be very clear. We are not talking about parental leave for employees. This is very different. Startup founders and venture fund partners just wouldn't be able to take a year or a year and a half away. In our survey, they were very realistic about the time off would look like. So they say on average that would be around 4 months, potentially returning part-time in the beginning, clearly delegating their responsibilities, and of course, hoping that no one will use their time off to push them out of the company. And I want to be clear on another thing. This isn't a woman's issue. This is everyone's issue. Co-founders need this. If your co-founder decides to step away and nothing's written down, there are no rules. Someone will just come up with them on the spot, and it's probably not going to be in everyone's favor. Investors need this. If you have a portfolio company where a founder steps away and there's no clear process of how it looks like while he's off, well, that's a direct risk to your portfolio company, a risk that could have been avoided if you had structure in place for situations like this. And of course, VC funds need this. Most LPAs have a key man clause, but most LPAs do not carve out parental leave, which means that you're in legal breach whether you know it or not. And at the end of the day, any collaboration, any venture should be built on transparency and trust, right? So this is what we did. Us at the Startup Association, together with Sorainen, we decided to make this transparent and clear. We have built legal clauses that can be incorporated into startup shareholder agreements and venture fund agreements that carve out everything around parental leave. And this is what the templates cover. They cover how long the leave would look like. We've currently put in a 4-month protected leave with potentially extending it 1 to 2 months to return only part-time. What that protected leave means is that your shares keep vesting, your position stays intact, and if you need to take longer time off, vesting pauses, and your schedule extends rather than ends. Another thing that we've put down is check-ins during leave. You'll probably want to keep in touch with the team and know what's going on, so you can plan that in before the leave. Another part is, of course, handover. It's required to have at least a month before the leave, a very clear handover how your responsibilities will transfer to someone else. And another thing that I think is extremely important is that both sides are protected. The clauses imply that if, for example, a shareholder breaches them, there would be financial penalties for that. And at the same time, if the founder or partner decide to extend their leave and they can't really agree on how that would look like, the other shareholders have recourse too. So that is what this covers. And they are available now at Startin.lv. I didn't get to have a seat at the table, not because I wasn't qualified, no, but because someone else decided for me that my maternity leave means that I can be at the seat. If you're a shareholder, do incorporate these in your next shareholder agreement. Have that discussion about parental leave upfront and not in a crisis mode when someone's pregnant. And if you're a shareholder, a VC, have a talk with your portfolio companies. Understand how they approach parental leave. You have real leverage to normalize this. Have the discussion I didn't get to have. Thank you.